From the sidelines of the Stars and Stripes Classic, the first ever lacrosse battle between Green Berets and Navy SEALs, and the brainchild of Green Beret Foundation, I caught up with Chairman of the Board, retired Lieutenant General Ken Tovo, and Board Member in Green Beret, Chris Robinette. With penalty markers flying for unnecessary roughness, we talked about the future of the Green Beret Foundation support. Watch, listen, or read our conversation from Gillette Stadium, and don't forget to check out the rest of our series from the Stars and Stripes Classic and the full game highlights. If you haven't signed up for next year, stay tuned for more information. General Tovo, Chris, welcome to the Jedburgh podcast, live from Gillette Stadium. Stars and Stripes Classic just started. We're about halfway through the first quarter. Green Berets versus Navy SEALs. They're out there on the field right now, and I'm going to say with pride that the Green Berets just took a 2-minute penalty for unnecessary roughness. And what my only question at this moment in time is, why did it take 3 minutes for that to happen?
Well, I'll just say there's been plenty of legal roughness so far in the game. It's been pretty exciting to watch. Down 1-0 at the point, but I think that's not going to stand. So, yeah. In fact, there we go. It's now 1-1. Green Berets just scored.
All right. So this entire day, this game was really the brainchild of Charlie Iacono, the CEO of Green Beret Foundation. You guys as board members were the ones who had to approve that thing. But just for a second, talk about when Charlie came to you and said, hey, I want to do this lacrosse game. We're going to do it next year at Gillette Stadium, and we're going to face the Navy SEALs on the field. What'd you think?
Yeah, well, it was an easy sell for me. We had actually talked a couple of years ago. I had a young woman who was a boxer and wanted to get a Navy SEAL Foundation versus Green Beret Foundation boxing event going. And for one reason or another, we never could pull it off. So, and I had talked to Charlie about, boy, it'd be great to do something like that. And of course, he came back with that idea on steroids. I had the opportunity to meet with the founders of the PLL at one point for a helmet ceremony and just mentioned to them, and they jumped on it. So the Reveal brothers really, I think, took Charlie's idea and helped put it into action. So really kudos to the PLL as well for really making this help get this across the line.
Yeah, I mean, I think Charlie's done a great job, not just building the programs and services since he's been on board, but thinking about how to expand the brand and build partnerships and work with corporations. And this is a no-brainer event in terms of getting everybody into Gillette Stadium, partnership with the PLL. All of those things are just fantastic that we took that as an idea and now put it into motion.
Yeah, well, and it's even beyond, frankly, the Green Beret Foundation and Navy SEAL Foundation. We approach this as an opportunity to help the military connect to society, right? We do have a recruiting crisis in the military right now, and part of that is society needs to know their military. And this is an opportunity. I mean, it was great. Before the game, we've got the SEAL Foundation, got the Navy SEALs to bring up some of their boats and some of their guys. We've got some of our vehicles, and so you're watching these the youth of America getting a chance to talk to Green Berets and Navy SEALs, get behind a gun, talk about what they do and connect. And I think that's important.
Yeah, we can't make it this mythical thing that lives out there. And we got to remember that at the end of the day, the guys who were on that field, the units that we all served in, I mean, we were still regular people,
right? Who
came from society, identified that we wanted to give back. We wanted to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We went out there and we rose our hand and we went and did it. And that's what these guys are doing.
And I think, that's the other connection that I think is necessary for the youth of America to see that, hey, this is something that's achievable for them. Yeah. This isn't, it's a high bar, but it's not an impossible bar. If you want to be in a Green Beret, you can get there. It's going to take hard work. It's not going to be given to you for free, but you can achieve it if you want, just like every guy out on that field did at one point in their career.
Yeah. So I want to talk about for a second the programmatics of the foundation. Okay. Last time we spoke, sir, we went into detail, kind of what are the different initiatives, whether it be scholarships, whether it be casualty support, whether it be assistance on the VA disability front. And that's really taken front and center of so much of what the foundation is doing right now. Can you give just an update on how far that program has come over the last year and why specifically the VA disability piece has become a central tenet of the foundation?
Yeah, we went through a strategic review several years ago, of which Chris was part of the volunteer team to lead, and he can kind of tell you some of the outcomes of that. But one of the things that we got from that team was the need to transition the weight of our effort away from casualty support, just because of the tempo of the war. Fortunately, we were taking fewer casualties, but that where the real need was in the community was in transition, and in kind of mental health and spiritual health. And so those kind of going forward have been really where we put the focus of our programmatic spend. Every Green Beret is going to leave the force at some point, and whether they do 5 years, 10 years, or do a career of 30 years, they're going to pass through the VA system, which is a difficult system to navigate, particularly to acknowledge all the wear and tear that a Green Beret goes through in his training and in his operational cycle. So we made the commitment a few years ago as a board to fund this VSR program, and it's really grown beyond, I think, really our expectations. I mean, we're not just taking care of folks that are in uniform today. We're taking care of Vietnam veterans who didn't get their appropriate VA benefit 30 and 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. Like, when I came onto the board, there was still significant spend and support we were doing to casualty support. But in just the last few years, that started to wane a little bit, but the need did not shrink in terms of the community. And not only did we make an investment in particular things like the VA disability like care rating, like it's now becoming sort of the forefront and almost coming home. Like, I'm at a 20-year mark from when I first came in, and like a lot of my friends that are still active are at the retirement age, and like literally guys I was at dinner with last week when I was for Liberty were like, hey, I gotta do my package. You have an idea how it works? It's like, not only do I know how it works, like we've essentially cornered the market on doing that and doing that well for a lot of folks. I'm on a text thread with guys on my former ODA that are still like, I'm not feeling great. I'm kind of breaking down. They've just recently gotten out, or like they're coming up on their 20-year mark. And I was like, look, guys, like this service was designed and built to solve that real need.
Yeah.
And not only is it a need that I think that we've installed kind of at the right time, we're very proficient at it with the staff. They're exceptional in terms of getting results, getting people appropriate ratings, getting through that process, and almost in a sort of a fire forget way. If you talk to some of the people that have gone through it, they're connecting with us online, issuing a basic set of paperwork, and minimal churn in terms of updating records, and are coming away with solid ratings. So we've done, I think, the right thing for the community in getting that set up.
Yeah. I think it's important too, as the first quarter ends here, that we'll give an update on the game where we're down 4-1 at this point, but they're gonna reset here during this quarter break.
We can hope so.
Yeah, I think it is important that we understand when folks are transitioning out. They might feel good today, at the moment of transition, but so many things manifest themselves later on. And I think when we talk about what's the call to action, how do we get people to realize, hey, this is something you guys need to do, it's something you want to do, and it's you have to go to that advocate from GBF who sits in your special forces group, go talk to them and get that process going, because it might take a year, 2 years, 4 or 5 years even for things to come up, and then we don't want to back into it. We want to address it head on.
Now, the other thing that I think it's important to talk about is that our transition program has grown over the last 6 months to be much more than just the VSO transition, the Veterans Affairs piece. We've partnered with I think about a dozen corporations right now who are helping with targeted job placement for Green Berets. They've got gaps to fill, and they want good proven performers who are complex problem solvers, the very definition of SFNCOs and officers. So we've put together a whole program that kind of helps ease the transition from uniform service back into civilian world, and that includes kind of the job placement aspect.
Yeah, I think the next Ridgeline 2.0 program is the one you're talking about, and I agree. The Army and Special Forces has already put our operators through a selection process, and employers can in effect use that process and say, this person's already been assessed and selected for excellence. Now let's take that and give them a skill, because they may lack a hard skill, but we know they have the soft skills, we know they have the character, we know they have what we want to build a great organization, and we can teach them what they need on a daily basis once they're in their organization.
Well, they've proven the ability to learn.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've proven the ability to learn complex skills, difficult skills, and so the skills, for many corporations, the skills piece is less important than the heart. You know, it's complex problem solving, but it's also the commitment to mission, whatever the mission is, and the ability to do what it takes to accomplish a mission. And whether that's in a business suit or in a uniform, that's one of the, I think, differentiators that Green Berets bring to civilian life. They understand commitment to purpose and working hard.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of the, Ridgeline 2.0, putting people, in a position to succeed in the next chapter, helping people with mind, body, and spirit, and then also kind of the next chapter of employment, employability, education, what that looks like, helping guys make, informed choices of what's next. I mean, so they can continue to contribute. And as General Tovo said, like, being part of the mission is, like, I think, a big factor and a big component to what's in that DNA. But putting people in a position to do that again in the next chapter is important, I think.
Yeah. Over the last 6-12 months, there's been a number of acquisitions that the foundation has made, whether it be scholarship funds or different support mechanisms. Recently, and I had the opportunity to go to Alaska with the Warrior Sportsmen, and where we're taking guys and getting them out there in the environment, but really bringing them together, giving them an opportunity to be with guys they haven't seen for a long time. Why is this acquisition strategy important right now?
I think our philosophy is essentially that we're trying to create a broad, holistic support capabilities for the regiment, right? For Green Berets, current and former, and their families, and also consolidate the marketplace to some extent. Fundraising has become tougher in this economy and in this environment. In some senses, in society, it's that the wars are over. The military, is presumed to be sitting at home station, not needing the support that it needed before, which of course is, nothing further from the truth. The military is engaged around the world.
These are the nation begins.
So our thesis, if you will, is that as we consolidate the market, it'll help with the fundraising aspect and bringing in the revenue necessary to support the programs that we provide. It's a tougher environment than it used to be for fundraising, and consolidation is one way to answer that.
Yeah, I think there's also just an efficiency in, like, the services, essentially, right? Like, you find best-in-class partners. I mean, if we dedicated ourselves to build some of these functions, it would take years versus consolidate. These mergers allow us to start that delivery of service today at a very high level for folks that, like, essentially need it now. So there's a lot of efficiencies on, just the program side of how you think about building a holistic mechanism and delivering that speed to market also. Like, it's sort of just the inherent outcome by finding good partners.
Yeah. As you look forward now over the course of the next, remainder of 2024 into 2025, what's your vision and what's your call to action for the team?
Well, I think we want to continue to build the brand. Events like this really get the word out, kind of both internally to the community. We've got folks that came to play with the team today and brought their families who really had not as much awareness as you'd hope about what Green Beret Foundation does. And so we use this weekend event to inform and educate to some extent. And so we hope to continue to expand that understanding in the community that we serve. But we're also trying to expand awareness out in a broader community, both in the corporate world and other foundation, potential donors, so that we can build the revenue base needed to support the regiment.
Yeah, I mean, the future, I think, is very uncertain in a lot of ways of, like, what the organization needs to prepare for. So I view it as, like, we want to keep, the foundation in an athletic position for success in the future, right? It's not a matter of, if but when the next major conflicts arise. And so we want to have the mechanisms to continue to immediately pick up, for example, if casualty service became an immediate demand, immediate need, we're financially prepared to do that. The service and the program staff are prepared to do that. But in the interim between, like, those, I would just call them, like, wave top periods, we want to continue to deliver, high value, high need services to the community where they live or where they're at. And so I think it's important to always be aware of where does that organization service need to be at any given time, and are we building the right things, and are we positioned to be successful when the environment changes, and it can turn on a dime, right? So, yeah, I think about that a lot, just making sure the organization is in a very athletic position and adaptable to meet the need of Green Berets, because that need is, highly unpredictable when and if, and how we'll have to respond to that.
And that's exactly what we're hearing out of all the commanders right now. Huge hit by our boys right there.
Yeah, I just saw that one.
Huge one.
Unfortunately, there's also a flag up in air on it.
Yeah, he's gonna go take a 2-minute break.
Yeah, I believe so.
This side.
Which isn't helping the overall score here. It's not looking very good right now for the Green Berets, but I feel confident we'll come back strongly here at some point.
Well, we got a lot of the game left. Look, I appreciate you taking a few minutes and sitting down with us. We're going to get back out there and keep watching this, cheering these guys on. But events like this are what's going to continue to draw awareness to how important both of these organizations are. Certainly, we're biased towards the Green Beret Foundation and the Green Berets, but we need people to get out there and join not only the Green Berets, but the Navy SEALs too.
Absolutely.
And we got to build a force that's capable of doing everything you were just talking about, and that's being adaptable and ready to go when the nation has that call.
Yeah, exactly. We need to be ready ahead of need, so that we're not lagging, right? I mean, as Chris talked, it's an uncertain future. It's at its most optimistic, it's an uncertain future. And we just know by history, our Green Berets will be called to action again, and we need to be ready to support them when that happens.
And if our boys aren't ready and the SEALs are sitting around doing nothing, we'll give them some action.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining it.
Sounds good.
American Jedburghs went on to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast, an official program of the Green Beret Foundation. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other long and short form content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow the Jedburgh Podcast and the Green Beret Foundation on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, or Threads. Send your comments and inquiries to fran@jedburghpodcast.com. As former members of Special Operations Forces, the Jedburgh Media Channel and the Green Beret Foundation remain committed to supporting all generations of U.S. Army Special Forces and their families. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.